Alright, welcome back to the Blender through Docwalk. This document is the camera view, so let's jump right in. First things first, and as we have gone over multiple times by now, to enter camera mode, simply hit 0 on your number pad, like so. Now, your camera, the active camera, the camera you are currently using, can be selected while in camera mode simply by clicking along the dotted camera viewport. So, find the viewport and click on it. Now, the camera is selected. Okay, now we're going to hop back out, and as with most things, this is also accessible from the menus. If you go up to View, down to Cameras, you have a few options here. Set Active Object as Camera and Active Camera. Active Camera, that is what we just performed. So numpad 0, that will put you behind the camera. Alright, now we're going to jump back out, and I'm going to look at everything from a bird's eye view really quick. I'm going to select the camera, and I'm going to duplicate this guy a couple of times to show a few things here. Alright, so we've got 3 cameras here. The one with the filled in triangle above it, that is the camera that Blender is going to use. Let's move these guys over to the side a little bit. That Blender will use when you hit 0. Neither of these will be used. So if I hit 0, the one that I just got behind is in fact, if I select it like this and I jump back out, is in fact the one with the triangle. Now if you want to set one of the other cameras as the active camera, you simply select the one you want to designate as your active camera, go up to View, down to Cameras, and select Set Active Object as Camera. And you'll see it will bring right into camera mode, but if you jump back out, you'll see that it now has the filled in triangle above it. Now the shortcut for that is Control numpad 0. So if I want to set this camera as my active camera, I will simply hold Control down and hit numpad 0. And now that is my active camera. Now anytime you render a scene, it is the active camera that Blender will use for the render. So there are methods for animating camera switching, which we'll go over in a later document. However, another reason why you might want more than one camera in a scene is because you can lock, or I guess set certain cameras to be a part of a different view. So, or a different, view. So if you go up to View Layer, and we're going to go over this in much more depth later, I'm just going to give you a quick overview. We can add a new view layer. You can either create a new one, create a blank one, or copy the scene, but if we create a new one here, you can see that all of my cameras are still the same, right? I still have everything in my scene is still the same. I'm just looking at it from a different layer. Now, you can, well, for instance, say this is the original view layer, okay? This is the active camera, and let's not want this cube in this layer. Okay. If I go to the other one, even though the cube is still there, it's just hidden, right? And if I jump down to the new layer I just created, you'll see the cube is still there. Now, this is kind of how view layers are used. You can create different views for the same scene. It's very useful if you want to, have one view specifically dedicated to the background, and then you can composite everything together. Now, if I select this camera, okay, and I set it as my active camera by Control numpad 0, jump back out. Now, the active camera and the layers can be specific to any one given view, or you can globalize it across a scene and lock them to the entire scene. Now, when you go into your active camera by tapping 0 on your number pad, your camera bounds, the dotted lines here, you can enlarge it to encompass the whole of your viewport. So this is a pretty simple one. Just hit home, and it grows to the size of your viewport. And again, this is also accessible in your view drop down, you go down to camera and select frame camera bounds. Quick note on assigning your active camera. Let's jump back out here. You can assign anything, any object to be your active camera, and there's multiple reasons why you might want to do this. For instance, you could, if you had modeled a gun with a sight, right? You could select the gun sight and set it as the active camera. That way, well, not the actual camera. That way, you're able to see from, it's not going to be a camera, but you're going to be able to see from that perspective and aim it. If you're trying to do a scene where, a hunter's looking through a scope and he's got a deer in his sights or something like that. You can also do it if you've got a light and you want to aim the light. Like if you, let's see, turn it into a spotlight. From this instance, I can do Control 0, and now the light, I'm looking through the light, right, as if it were a camera. And in this manner, I can actually, hit G to grab it and aim the light as I see fit. Another thing we've talked about, let's jump out of this, is simply calling the active camera to your view. So if we, let's select that guy and kind of, whoops, look at the scene from there. If I want to call the camera to where I am, remember this is pretty simple to remember, it's Control-Alt-0. And now the camera is where I'm at. Only, this is not the camera, this is the light. So, because, right, I just recently set it as active camera. So let's fix that, shall we? Uh-oh. Go up to view, down to cameras, set active object as camera. All right, now pop out of it. And now let's jump to a separate position here. Okay, now Control-Alt-0. And there we are. Okay, right there, right behind the camera. Good deal. All right, now a few videos ago we talked about using fly and walk navigation. So now we are going to show you how to use it with a camera. I don't believe we actually did that in the last video, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit numpad 0 to get into camera view, and now Shift tilde. Okay, so I'm in walk navigation mode, and I'm going to use my WS, A, and D keys for moving forward, backward, and using my mouse for view rotation. Okay, so I can, just cruise around the scene, look around, and you can also set this to record so that you can record a walkthrough of a scene or whatever. I think we kind of covered that last time. And one more thing here. So if you want to record with traditional navigation capabilities, instead of using fly or walk, so I'm going to click out of this, okay, we can actually use just normal, orbit, pan, tilt sort of navigation. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to hit N to bring open my side panel, and we are going to go to the View tab here. I've already got it open, and we're going to go down to View Lock, all right, and underneath Lock, there's two lock options here, and if we select Lock Camera to View, okay, now the camera is locked to my view, and I can actually select something else and move about as if I was, zoom in, zoom out, pan, right, everything that you can normally do. So in this way you can also record as you're navigating a scene in the traditional manner. Now, in addition to to your traditional navigation capabilities here, There are also a few other ways that you can manipulate the camera while in this particular camera mode, while you've got your camera locked to view. And the way this the way this works is you need to select your camera. So you need to make sure your camera is selected, and we are going to perform a camera roll. So I'm going to tap R like you would to rotate an object. So for instance, if I select the cube and I hit R, this is how I rotate the cube. So I'm going to do that while I am in camera view mode. So I'm going to tap R, and this allows me to rotate the camera. Quick addendum here, while we are in camera mode and we are rotating it with R, just remember that we are rotating around the camera's Z-axis. Okay, now for a pitch maneuver or vertical pan, we're going to use rotate again, right? So I'm going to hit R, okay, and instead of rotating, along the Z-axis, we are going to rotate along the X-axis. So the way you do that is by tapping X. Now, tapping X once locks me to global X, okay, and then tapping X again locks me to camera X, or the camera's X-axis. Likewise, we can do it with the Y-axis, which is in aeronautic terms, right? Yaw, I guess nautical terms as well, or horizontal pan. So we're going to tap R to get into our roll mode here, and then I'm going to tap Y. And remember, the first time locks you to global Y. I'm going to hit Y again, which locks us to local, the camera's local Y-axis. So that's panning left and right. And now we're going to dolly the camera. So we're going to get out of our yaw movements there, and we are going to press G. And remember, G, right, that's grab. That's how you grab an object, okay? Then we are going to press Z twice. So Z once locks us to global Z-axis, right? So we're kind of going up and down here. And when I hit Z again, is going to lock me into the camera's Z-axis, which is forward and backwards for us. So Z again, and that is dolly zoom. We're dollying the camera forward and backwards. And the last camera manipulation operation we are going to cover, actually the last thing we're going to cover in this document, is sideways tracking. So we are going to use grab again. So I'm going to tap G, and that grabs our camera. And now I'm going to either use X, okay, and remember that again, that's the global X-axis. I'm going to hit X again, and that locks us to the local X-axis. I can also, let's get out of that, tap G and hit Y. Remember, global and Y, local, up and down. So that's sideways tracking. So that was the camera view document. I will see you guys next time as we talk about Viewport, which we have gone over most of these 1,000 times, but as always, thank you for watching. I deeply appreciate the support. If you appreciate the video, please like. If you like the series, go ahead and subscribe. And if you know somebody that you think could benefit from this, go ahead and share it with them. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.